Welcome back to Jersey Matters. We're at Monmouth Park Racetrack. This is the path that the horses will take next week to get on the track to run the Haskell, one of the top horse races in the country. And as our Phil Andrews tells us, it attracts some of the top horses in the country.
And they're off.
The 75th season of racing here at Monmouth Park was delayed by about 2 months. No thanks to COVID-19. But all systems are now go here in Oceanport as they gear up for their crown jewel event of the summer, the $1 million TVG.com Haskell Stakes on July 18th. Now, the 8-horse field includes some of the top 3-year-olds in the country, and according to Dallas Baker of BetMakers, Authentic enters the race as the current favorite.
Was there some question about the distance for this horse, whether or not the horse could handle the distance?
I've got no worries about Authentic getting the distance of the Haskell. If it was a traditional season, they're moving on to 2,400 metres in my language, or the mile and a half of the Belmont, perhaps that would be a problem for him to have then gone on to win the Triple Crown. But I see no issue with the mile and a 16th as it is in US, or mile and an eighth, isn't it? Mile and an eighth in US terms in the Haskell.
Now, another horse that bettors can lay their money on is Dr. Post, who is expected to give Authentic a run for the money at the Haskell based on his second-place finish to Tiz the Law at the Belmont.
Dr. Post's run, again, was probably better than it looked, considering all the considering how good Tiz the Law is and how the favours in the run that Tiz the Law got as opposed to Dr. Post.
Another horse to keep your eye on is Max Player, a third-place finisher in the Belmont Stakes, who has Garden State ties to its owner, George Hall of Rumson.
Just a couple of things that I saw from Max Player in the parade ring, and also go to the barriers. There's a couple of things that I look for in a horse that just to indicate there was a good couple of lengths improvement in that horse. So very interested to see how he actually does look on Haskell Day.
Ete Indian
coming out of the corner.
Yeah,
Ete Indian puts himself into the right spot. He's probably had enough starts now to prove that he's not at the top level of the 3-year-olds of the Tiz the Law, of what I think Authentic is, and probably not quite Dr. Post. But again, he's close enough to them that if they make any mistakes, and it is horse racing, things can happen.
I guess you won't know until the end of the race. I mean, you don't know how a horse is going to run. But how many of these horses that are going to run next Saturday do you expect to see at Churchill Downs?
As a 3-year-old, and for people who don't know, the Triple Crowns and the Haskell is only open for 3-year-old horses, so that's akin to college football. You only get one chance at this. You can't come back next year to run in the Kentucky Derby. So as long as the horse is sound and fit and going well, I think you'd be mad not to.
Now, with most of these horses coming from out of state, and given the current pandemic situation and New Jersey's travel restrictions, it begs the question, what about quarantine? No, not for the horses, but for their handlers, the jockeys, and the trainers.
Well, fortunately, an order by Governor Phil Murphy allows people doing business in New Jersey from out of state to be voided from having to quarantine. COVID-19, however, will have an effect on the crowd size, with the track only allowed to operate at a 25% capacity.
At Monmouth Park, for Jersey Matters, I'm Phil Andrews.
All right, thank you, Phil. We're now nearing the finish line on this show with a reminder that the Haskell, one of the biggest horse races in the country, will be next Saturday at 5 o'clock. Up next, my commentary.